Hi lovelies, this is Blossom. So today I want to do the Sacred Land Connection spread by Katey Flowers. I really like this spread and this reading. I wanted to do it actually already a long time ago, several weeks ago, but I really want to do this reading outside. And it was not quite the weather for it, and after a while I honestly just forgot about it. So I'm very happy that it popped up in my YouTube feed today. And yeah, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to read with Guardian Tarot. That's quite new to me. And as I have a deep connection with trees, I found this very fitting, and it's also so important in my environment, trees. So let's do that then. Now the first card is Where I Stand, What is my current connection to the land? And here I have the Seven of Pentacles. Before I start reading, I really want to say that the Guardian Tarot is not your typical tarot, and I read this deck quite intuitively, and yeah, so it's not really Rider-Waite-Smith based. I'm still going to do a walkthrough of at some point. However, what is my current connection to the land? And I really love that because I come over like a time where winter passes, and I had quite a tough time this winter to actually truly connect with the land. However, here in the card I see like the tree person emerges out of that clear water that we see here, and everything is cleansed and refreshed, and how she looks up into the sky, and there are so many new possibilities now. It's really a new world is opening up for her. So now at this moment I feel very much like the land is reopening, the energies of the land are growing, and I will be able to dive in now and to really be part of that new world that is building up now. I also really feel like I'm right now, I hear something calling from the land, and I'm just following it at this moment. Let's move on to the second card, and the question here is, what history do I need to acknowledge at this time? So this is the Nine of Cups, but really this reminds me of a place not far from here. It is actually in my village, and we have that little church in the village right here that you can see there. And then there is that other small building, and you can actually look between those two buildings, the church and the other small building that I do have. You can see at a river, not the sea. I don't live at the sea, but at the river. And that reminds me so much of this place. And the history of that place, it is a church with a cemetery, and I actually go often to that place because it feels very peaceful. But you also know that there was a lot of history, and exactly at that place there were many Celtic things found from ancient time, and I think that weaves everything together, exactly this place. And lately I was called so often to visit this place, and I think I just really have to figure out more about it, especially also when I see in this card this tree woman here. It is really like a ghost of the past, and she's so peaceful and serene, and she's not judgmental at all. And what we can see in that card is also the meaning of, or the indication that we have to decide something. But there is no judgment. That is something that you have to do on your own. And right now, it is for me to decide, how do I work with that place? How do I bring in that history into my own practice of that place? I really love how this card showed up for that, because yeah, it just reminds me so much of that place, and it's such a beautiful, peaceful place, but still so much to discover. Even though I live now here for 6 or 7 years, it still feels a bit mysterious. Then the next card, there we have What do the ancestors and elders of this land want me to know? How can I honor them? And then I have the tower. There's actually really so much to say. There are so many layers, and I was thinking about it so much. And I think really when I look at my surrounding, at the land where I live in, we have so much farmland that surrounds me. And so what happens there is a lot of monoculture. And that is not great for the land, and it feels like it needs that disruption, and something must happen, something bigger must happen, that we finally understand that the foundation is great what we have on this land, but what is important, what really is important, is that we change now the way how we care for the land, for sure. I think that's a worldwide thing. For it feels like if we don't change it, something will change it, so that we have to. It also reminded me of something that happened a few days ago. I just went into the forest on a walk with my doggies, and when I was there they actually fell 2 trees, and I was so devastated, really. It broke my heart, because I'm so, I don't know, I know every tree in that forest. I'm so often in that forest, and then to see them, you know, being destroyed, it does something to you, and you just, you know. But as with the tower, mostly it is something that really needs to be cut out and cut away, quite literally here in this case, to make room, because there is that strong foundation that's there, but you have to rebuild upon it. And when I talk about how you know, how we need that, a better understanding of the land and of the environment and so on, I think that is actually happening, because a few months back another big tree fell in the forest, in the same forest actually, and yeah, it was really sad, because we called it the soul tree, because it was very special. I don't go into too much detail now in order to keep it a bit shorter, or as short as possible, but yeah, it was our soul tree, and it was struck by lightning, so there was nothing that mankind did. And you know, when you go into the same forest every day, or you know, a couple of times a week, then you meet the same people over and over again, also other people with dogs. And there was quite a topic, that tree, and those are not people who are big nature lovers, who are so crazy about trees or tree huggers, you know, nothing like that, but it was such a topic. And so you met somebody and they ask you immediately, did you see the tree? Oh my god, I felt so sad. And then discussions about how healthy the forest actually is, and if it was actually lightning, or do they have some kind of fungus that makes it unhealthy, or there was a lot of discussion just because of that. And then I got a bit, you know, the idea that people are much more aware than I actually think, because we see so much destruction, but we see in the big world so much destruction, and people who don't care about the environment or about the tree. But when so many people from one area come together and talk about one tree that fell, you know, by natural circumstances, not even, you know, by mankind, then you get a bit of hope how people still care about nature and the environment. And I think and when I even think about in a smaller scale, now just about the garden, and I had a discussion with that already with people, just alone in my garden, how I have to build up again, because our soil is it's a difficult soil to grow anything. And I have to think now that you know, that it actually is possible. The foundation is there, but I have to rebuild. And maybe I even have to set some beliefs aside, or something that I've learned from the outside, and really follow more my inner voice that is telling me how I could work with that soil and stuff like that. Actually, there are many layers, and I still have so many thoughts about this card, but I try to keep it shorter. So I move on to the next card. Number 4, sorry, there we go. Number 4, what can I offer the land at this time? And this is such a beautiful and uplifting card. So we have the Page of Pentacles here, and we see that sunny light in the background, and the daisy in front. And daisies are always a bit about new beginnings, you know. It's like one of the first flowers I see in the grass, you know, when springtime comes. And even we had the tower before, so you know, something could happen. There could be like a big disruption as well. That's what I mean. There are more layers to that card, so it could also indicate that there will be a big disruption at some point. But this card tells you, you know, to keep a positive mindset if that would happen. And that's what I can offer the land, to stay positive and being very aware that I'm right there where I need to be, and bring joy to the land, bring that. So when I think about my garden, it is garden again with pure joy, because I can get very, very much stuck in my head when I do that, because I do so much research, and then I try to do everything right, and you know, it's still possible to fail even if you do everything by the book. So instead of being so in my head, really focusing more on bringing in the joy into my work again, like on the smaller scale for my garden, but also for the land. Enjoy the land for what it is right now at the moment. Then we have the next card. Number 5, what does the land want to share with me? Or I think Katey Flower said, offer me. Well, there I have the Knight of Cups. And what I find very beautiful in this card is how we see all those signs in nature, and the tree person here is looking up into the sky, looking for messages. Birds are messengers, you know. And then we have the baby in the cloud, and we have the bear here in the rock, in the cliff. And what it offers me, it gives me just all those signs in the landscape. I just have to read them, and I am actually really somebody who reads the landscape. A few years back I got a book by somebody who really went into that, formations of trees and how they stand and where they're leaning, then again with the energy lines and all that stuff, and it always stuck with me, so that I always see those formations and patterns in the landscape. And I really just have to, because the messages I need, the information I need, will come through the signs that are given to me in the landscape. Alright, so the last card, number 6. How can I be a source of love and healing on this land? And then I have the High Priestess. That's really interesting. So I mentioned already before something that I have to listen to my inner voice. So this is one aspect of the High Priestess. Really, instead of being so dependent on information from the outside when it comes to the land, so like being very, you know, trying to get all the outside information to make it better for the land, really go inside, because the information is within me. Walking between the worlds, stepping beyond the veil, and I'm actually very clear. I'm not good at articulating myself sometimes. So there is that world beyond the world, and I have to be able to see that again, instead of just what I call just the harsh reality. If you see it without the wonder of magic, it can become quite harsh sometimes, and I just have to take that step beyond and see the magic in it, and then really sending how I can heal the land is by dwelling there and make magic there happen. Sounds crazy? and again, really following more my intuition. I'm actually, you know, knowing intuitively, I know what I'm doing, how I can heal that land. And there was some, for example, just yesterday a discussion, because I have to prune my apple tree. I hate to cut trees. I don't like it, because I feel I don't know what I'm doing. So I checked like 15 different videos on how to correctly cut your apple tree, and then I've read 15 different blogs on how to correctly prune your apple tree. And still I'm standing there, I don't know. And one blog that I've read actually mentioned, you know, you actually know what you do when you're standing in front of it. Don't get too much in your heads. And it was, oh, all right, okay. And even my husband said, I think you're just overthinking that. Come into connection with the tree as you do, instead of going so much in your head now how you can do it right. And I think there should be a basic knowledge, of course. You cannot just go crazy. Definitely, I think a basic knowledge should be there. But in this case, I think I just should communicate with the apple tree, and he will show me how I can do it right. That it's in his best interest, that he can grow and be healthy. And there we go. Yeah, so that's all I'm gonna say. So I saw Katey Flowers did pull an oracle card. I do that as well. So the oracle card that I've got was Strength, which is, you know, it's a summing up of it, of the situation, of the spread of the reading. And for this card we have Juniper and Tiger's Eye in it. So the plant, sorry, for those who don't know this oracle, it's the Earth's Wisdom Oracle, and it's always a crystal and a plant represented in it. And we have the Juniper and the Tiger's Eye. So Juniper is about a bit eliminating self-destructive tendency, and it's also a protection against theft and accidents, which is interesting when we think about the Tower card again. And also about removing toxins. So, and for the Tiger's Eye, this is of course stabilizing and grounding, and it enhances willpower, and it's like also understanding cause and effect. And it also is a stone that brings scattered information together. So what I have here is like, there's needed for stabilize myself and to ground myself, really come more into connection with the land by grounding, which I'm doing. And that those scattered information that I have, this is really, again, I think it's a bit of key here. Those scattered information will be brought together to a cohesive whole, and I will learn to focus my energy more when I want to connect with the land. And that this is also a time to enhance my willpower and to focus on moving forward in self-confidence. If working with the land, instead of being so insecure about it, do I do that right? But it also tells you, you know, you have to keep going. You need endurance is needed, but there's definitely power to move forward. So that's that. And I really want to thank Katey Flowers again, because I really love that spread. I would like to go much more in detail, but I know, you know, my videos can get quite long when I do that, so I try to keep them a bit shorter. Yeah, thank you very much for watching. I wish you all a wonderful day. Much love and blessings, and bye bye.